You were going so fast. I need to go upstairs.
It's okay. Lay down and close
You like that? I'm tired upstairs.
It's okay.
I need to go upstairs. I'm tired.
Okay, just close your eyes for a minute.
I'm tired. You're upstairs.
Go ahead and close your eyes for a minute. It's okay.
I'm tired upstairs now.
You want to go back? Would you like a little snack? Are you hungry?
Oh my God, snack. I'm tired. I'm tired.
Well, do you want to close your eyes right there?
No, go back upstairs.
Why do you want to go upstairs, honey?
I'm tired. I'm tired.
Hello guys, good morning. Whew. I am finally catching up to getting back to you guys here on YouTube a little bit. A lot has happened since the last video was posted, and technically the last one that was posted was when Randy and I were getting ready to go to Jamaica. So by the time you see this one, our Jamaica vlog will actually be up. I will tag it below if you want to watch that. It was such an amazing trip. But as soon as we got back, my computer had completely went down. Like, I had to take it in to get it fixed, which took quite a while. I was still out starting sessions again and stuff for the fall season here, and then Owen had started getting sick, so there was just a whole lot going on all at once, and we kind of readjusted our priority list and just kind of got some things back in order since we've been home. So I just wanted to use this time with you this morning. It is now nap time. A lot has been going on with Owen recently. If you guys follow his page on Facebook, that's where we do most of our real life posting and updates for you. So you can go there if you would like to follow his story. But I did just want to do a sit down vlog here with you today, kind of update you on what's been going on and where we're at now, because a lot has happened, and we have some more vlogs coming out soon, like a fall weekend with the family, and then pretty soon the holidays are going to be here and we're going to have some more family time vlogs and stuff like that. And I don't ever want to ignore the reality of what's actually going on with Owen as well. I know vlogs like these are going to be more sit down, just real with you vlogs, and I never want you to come to our channel or our pages and ever think that things are perfect around here, because they are absolutely not. Our home is a place of finding the peace through the struggle. We are here to find our purpose through the pain, just like anybody else, and that is definitely what I truly want to share with you guys all the time and bring awareness to within your own journey in your own home, that you're not alone and we are all in this together. So if you're new here, thank you for being here with us. And if you've already been a part of our journey, thank you for checking out this video on Owen's update. So I knew just from our journey way back in the beginning that the bigger picture is what mattered here. And it truly does. We live through the little moments. You'll just see that continuously through our vlogs and through my posts. And that's kind of what I thrive on finding in each day, is the sunlight and the happiness. That truly does not mean it's always happy here. Living with Alzheimer's is a very challenging thing. And if you've never been around anybody with Alzheimer's, I highly suggest just gaining some knowledge of it. And we're here to do that as well, to spread awareness. So I hope you can find some of that here at some point within our vlogs and our journey. And things are not perfect around here, but I thrive to find the perfect moments in each day to help us get through. So with that being said, I just wanted to kind of update you on Owen and what's been going on. It's been about 6 weeks now. He just started acting very tired all the time, which is very much not like him. He's very much like, when he wakes up in the morning, he's ready to start the day. He's on the go. Hyperactivity kicks in, which is also a sign of Sanfilippo syndrome. And he had just kind of slowly started slowing down. There wasn't too much at the very beginning to really make an assumption about anything. It was just something that we kind of noticed and kind of kept an eye on. The next thing that caught us off guard was he woke one night and vomited and had diarrhea. And we kind of moved him downstairs to clean him up in the shower. And when he was in the shower, he had just kind of this blank look come over him. He turned absolutely pale. I knew that something was about to happen, and so I hollered for Randy to come in and help me. And sure enough, he got in there just in time. I told Randy to hold his whole body up. As he did that, he just went pale, and I said, I think he's about to pass out. And he did. He passed out in Randy's arms and lost bowel control. And it was actually just so scary to see. You know, knowing our diagnosis of being degenerative and him losing his skills and his abilities, when things like this happen and they're out of our control and out of his control, it's definitely an emotional nightmare to watch happen right in front of you. So he came back to a few seconds later, not fully, but was kind of responding to us and able to like help us move his body a little bit, enough to step out of the tub, dry off, and we got him back safely to the couch here in the living room while we were washing his bedding. We kind of got him settled in. He was still very tired, so I kind of kept an eye on him, and once I knew that he was safe, we checked his pulse ox and all that stuff. I let him close his eyes to go back to sleep here on the couch for a little bit. This was about 2:30 in the morning, so we tucked him back in on the couch, and Randy continued to wash his bedding while I just kind of kept an eye on him. I was starting to take notes at that point on my phone on just what time things were happening, what was happening, and I like to do this every time we kind of go through these weird shift things, because then I have something to look back on. There's no way that I can just remember details like this, and I am so thankful that I started this so long ago, of just taking notes and time frames and symptoms and all the things, because that has helped tremendously. So once we got him back to the couch, he seemed okay. Randy had put on his spare bedding upstairs, and so we kind of like woke him up a little bit and sat him up for a minute first, started talking to him, and talked him into going back upstairs. So we slowly stood him up, and almost immediately after, he went completely pale again and passed out right in Randy's arms. And so we slept the rest of the night down here on the couch. I pulled over the giant beanbag chair and slept right by him. Pull socks nearby, all of the things, and the rest of the night just passed. This is kind of when it all started, and again, that was... Actually, let me check my notes. Hang on. Okay, so it was around the date of September 22nd, it looks like, is when I checked in with you guys after things had started happening. And he had some diarrhea episodes before that, which honestly, Sanfilippo toggles between constipation and diarrhea. So just using that single symptom within itself is so hard to like pinpoint if he has a bug or not. So it was around that date. We had just recently taken him off another med that we were trying out for behavioral and just to study his emotions again. And we just weren't happy with the outcome, so we decided not to be on that medication right now. We're not against putting Owen on medications, but his body seems to hold on to the side effects so hard that if they are side effects that we can't necessarily see from the outside, then we're not quite excited about trying him on something. I'm definitely about keeping his quality of life over anything. Oh. Sunny is dreaming right here, so you can probably hear her like squealing in her dreams a little bit. So when it comes to medications with Owen, we're definitely not against putting him on something that is going to help him. I'm just very, very aware of what I put him on at this time in his diagnosis. He can very much so communicate and walk and talk and eat properly and all of the things. And if a med is going to take away his quality of life that he has right now, I'm not so into that. He's been on a couple seizure meds in the past that have made him complete zombie-like. He didn't know how to spell mom. He didn't know how to spell his name. He didn't know his little characters. Those are the things he can still do, and I'm not taking that away from him. If he starts to have seizures daily in the future, or even much more often than he does now, I am very much okay with putting him on a medication that is going to help him a little bit. Is he still going to have seizures while on the medications? Probably. He has in the past the entire time, and I don't know, it didn't sit well with me. So as of right now, he is on no seizure medications. This last one we just tried out, it was to help kind of stabilize his mood again, and he was on one in the past that was very helpful, but we actually took him off of it because it slowly lowered his platelet levels over time, and we obviously couldn't live with that forever either. So we just kind of switched to something else, and just we weren't very happy with it over the last little amount of time that he was on it. So we recently took him off that. So after the vomiting episode happened and that whole night kind of passed, I took notes of it. He didn't vomit again after that. He didn't seem sickly that day. He didn't run a fever this whole time. Like, there weren't any other things that screamed sickness to me. So again, I just kind of took note of it and moved on. Over those next few days, it would have been end of September, very beginning of October. So the 29th, the 1st, and the 2nd started showing much more signs of like head pressure. He would sit straight up in the middle of the night and kind of lean against his headboard, which shows me like he needs to sit up to relieve the pressure in his head. He would have much more episodes during the day of squinting his eyes, you know, showing a little bit of pain on his face. He would even kind of pull out his hair. In the night, he would also kind of lean to one side. He would lean to one side and kind of squint his eyes. These are all signs of head pressure or intracranial pressure, or natural pressure hydrocephalus is what we were starting to look into. So I was in contact with his genetics team, and she was emailing me back and forth, and she finally called me on October 2nd, I believe it was. Again, we post all this stuff on his page for you to be updated on, so never hesitate to look there. But oh, my foot is asleep. On September 25th, he went back to school. He was acting like himself. Everything had seemed back to normal. September 30th, we were having a night in bed before bedtime, just giggling and having fun. No sure signs other than feeling tired. I do remember his one symptom was that we had noticed that was very much off. He would want to go to bed at like 4 p.m. He was ready for bed at 4 p.m. Like we could tuck him in and he would sleep through the entire night. So that was definitely something that was not normal for him. We would go to bed normally around 8 o'clock is our typical bedtime, where we are upstairs giving kisses goodnight, tucking everybody in. And at 4 p.m. he would start whining to go. It is so bright in here. Look how my sweatshirt, my skin, and the wall all blend in with each other. That's a little ridiculous. So yeah, keeping that symptom in mind of wanting to go to sleep so early was just something not normal for him. October 1st and 2nd, he had a few episodes in the middle of the night where he sat straight up in bed and just leaned against his headboard. He did this every hour on the hour. I looked at my phone every time he was moving on the camera, and it was happening at 11, at 12, at 1, 1:15, at 2:30. It was always within that like 1 hour-ish range, and it was starting to worry me. So over the next couple days of that happening in the middle of the night, I had been in contact with his genetics team. She was emailing me back and forth, and these were just not his normal sleep patterns. He has had seizures in the past. His last seizure was March of 2022, so we have been on a little seizure-free spree here, and we are very thankful for that. But these were just very much not like his normal seizure patterns. They were much more like pressure related, it seemed, with pain going on. I started asking a few other Sanfilippo moms and doing some research, and we came across normal pressure hydrocephalus as one of our options of what it could be. And so she gave us basically a fast pass to sorry, he's starting to wake up a little bit. I'm seeing him on the monitor. She basically gave us a form to get us into any ER that we needed, starting that night of October 2nd, if we felt that uncomfortable, to get him right in to start looking into hydrocephalus issues. I had started packing my bags and having everything ready just in case. I'm very proactive when it comes to this stuff. Like, I don't mess around. I will pack every single thing we need in a bag until we don't need it and we are safe to stay home, because the minute that something happens and we need to get out the door, the last thing I want to think about is, did you grab this? Did you grab that? No. I have also learned from the past that we do not pack for an overnight stay. We pack for at least a few days to a week stay. And I'm so thankful I did that again this time, because that's exactly what had happened. And Chicago is 3.5 hours away from us, so it's not like we can just run back home to grab anything that we forgot or some extra clothes. I was in contact with a couple neighbors here in case we needed their help in the middle of the night to be here with the sleeping babies until Nana got here, but I didn't know what time we needed to leave, so I had people kind of on standby waiting around. Thankfully, we have a village of people just kind of like on call when I need them, kind of where I need them. They kind of all have like a little role to play, so I am just so thankful that we have that, because I don't know where we would be without you guys. So thank you so much. Nana got here the morning of the 3rd, and I let our neighbors know we didn't need their help anymore, and we were on our way to Chicago. We got there about 1:30 into the emergency room. Our form that she had filled out for us got us right in. We didn't have to wait in line. While we were there, we went over all of our family history, and they did a CAT scan pretty much right away, and they didn't see anything on the CAT scan as far as an emergency goes, which is obviously a good thing. We did, however, know that the CAT scan was probably going to come back normal, so we didn't just want them to push us aside. I also know from the past that Owen has had some airway issues when it comes to anesthesia and getting like an MRI done. And so that was something that I had made known as soon as we got there. We ended up being admitted. We didn't get to our room until like 9:30, 10 o'clock. In the middle of the night is when they hooked us up to an EEG to look for seizure activity. October 4th, the morning after the EEG was hooked up, the neurologist at the time, our neurologist is like technically gone right now, so let's just add that to the boat of comfort here. The neurologist that had been working on call had come in and she said, well, good news, there was no seizure activity, you guys can go home. And Randy and I looked at each other and we were like, what? We were not even here specifically for seizures. We were very much taken back, pretty much upset, trying to calm our nerves before I flipped out on somebody. Okay, sorry for the change. I had to switch to my phone because my camera battery died. So there were so many doctors that had come in and introduced themselves in that ER room and while being admitted, and we don't even know who was who after a while. I was just like, is anybody reading these papers that these other nurses and doctors are filling out? Because we're telling the same story over and over again, and we were just very frustrated. Long story short, she listened to us. She listened to all of his symptoms. Over time, he also had gained this very shuffled walk, very slow for him, very much dragging his feet. He would rely fully on Randy to hold him up. This is just another sign of like pressure in the brain happening. So there were other symptoms that were happening like this, and she thankfully listened to us and kept us again overnight. So originally they had stopped at midnight any food or drink intake because if he was going to be doing any kind of testing the next day, they didn't want anything in his system, obviously. So after we had this talk with her, she ended up taking him off of that plan. He could eat and drink that day. Oh, Owen's waking up, so hang on just a second. Yes, so everybody was just in and out of the rooms. We couldn't keep track of which doctor was who, whether they were like a fellow, an attending, like it was just really confusing. After talking with the neurologist that has helped us throughout this whole time, she had said that they had finally come to the conclusion that doing an MRI wasn't necessarily worth it as much as just going straight into the lumbar puncture. The lumbar puncture is something that was highly recommended to us to do as far as pain management and pressure in the brain goes. And doing an MRI was a little risky, having to put him under, obviously, with his airway issues. It wasn't really going to show us anything in detail that, say, the CAT scan showed. We knew that his ventricles were probably going to be a little bit bigger than they were. His last MRI was 2017, right before diagnosis. That's definitely where we had the issue of being put under, and again, that was before diagnosis, before knowing airway issues and complications with Sanfilippo, and my mama heart will always feel guilty for like putting him through that without knowing, but I can't live like that, obviously. It just helps us for the future know that anything to do with anesthesia is a little bit risky for him. I feel like I'm getting all over the place, and I'm very much so sorry for that. I'm just trying to kind of remember the timeline of everything. I feel like when you're in a hospital for so long and the days just kind of mush together, and I know there's families out there that are in hospital much longer than we were, and I just think of you guys all the time. We have lots of friends who are in the hospital right now, and they've been in for a very long time, and I'm just as blessed and thankful as we are to have been out after a week. I'm just so sorry that you guys are there with your families and just want to live in your home normally again, and I'm praying that you'll get there soon. So yes, after talking about it, we just kind of went right into the lumbar puncture. The MRI was definitely going to show us maybe a size difference in his ventricles, but it was also much more going to show us the atrophy that has taken over in this disease. If you don't know what atrophy is, it'll show brain loss, basically. The white matter that shows up on an MRI is a sign of brain damage, and His first MRI was done in 2017. It is now 2023. We know that there's going to be much more brain loss that shows up on an MRI, and we just already knew that that was going to be there. So we just kind of skipped that as one of the tests to do for this time. So on October 5th, the doctors did their rounds and they came in about 8:30, 9 a.m. and said that he was going to have a lumbar puncture that day. They were just basically fitting him in where they could because his wasn't like an emergency or anything like that we knew of. We had originally planned for like 1:30. They came back in at 9:30 and said, okay, we're gonna prep him to take him now. And we were like, oh. I was very much scared. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was very nervous. They had talked us through everything that they were gonna do, how they were gonna do it. I just wanted to know what position he was gonna be in when they got his, airway prepped, what to look for. Our nurse came in and had come in and informed us that she had just looked at his file or whatever it is, and he had a whole team of doctors and nurses that were going to be in there with him. And I was just so thankful to have heard that. After hearing just all of the scary stories and scary things that come with airway issues and having to be put under, it was just such a blessing. And that was literally the light that had lifted me up to push me through this procedure, is that he had so many people in there with him when we couldn't be. And that was just such a great gift to know that he was being well taken care of, and they knew what they were doing. The anesthesiologist was one that has worked with many MPS patients, and so he was just very knowledgeable on what to do with this specific disease, and that made me so much more comfortable as well. There was just so many things that kind of fell into place very last minute that put me in a much comforted spot as a parent. They prepped him, they wheeled him down the hallway. We followed him and they put us in this little prep room. The anesthesiologist then came in at that time and talked us through everything that was going to be done and told us who was all going to be in there. The nurse had to give me a box of tissues, but I'm thankful that Randy was there with me. Just saying all of this out loud just makes me realize like people like Dad Randy doesn't get enough credit, for everything that he does. And so anyways, so thankful for him and his encouragement and just being there with me and his hand on my lap. You just feel numb in these situations and you feel helpless and you can't do anything. It's out of your control. And somehow just that extra comfort is keeping you calm within the storm. So I'm so thankful that I have him in this journey as well. So they ended up sedating him a little bit before they took him back. They talked to us about maybe doing a sedation of some kind instead of dealing with the anesthesia this time around. And if they can get through it with that, then that'll be a safer route to go for his airway issues. And that's what they ended up doing. They did end up sedating him just a little bit before they went back. So I had asked them, based on what I could see his reactions were when he did the CT scan, they gave him a little bit of sedation for that, and he was still able to move and speak and do all the things, but it was much slower for him, and I feel much more comfortable knowing that if they could take him back like that, I would be more at peace with it. So that's what they ended up doing for us. Without going into detail all of what they used, they were able to put him under with sedation versus anesthesia. everything went well, and as far as his airway goes, like, they didn't have all of the issues that they thought they were going to have. They did confirm that if he ever does need to be on a ventilator or a tube of some sort and put under anesthesia, that we will have some issues that will arise. And we are just so thankful that we were able to put him under this way instead for this time. They walked us through all the things. They told us we would get a text message every hour, you know, during a surgery. And since this was only going to be about an hour total, he was back there, we would get a text when he got back there and prepped. And then we would get a text when he was finished. He said the procedure usually lasts like 5 to 10 minutes maybe, but the whole prepping and then coming out is what takes longer. So it was right about an hour, just like they said. And I'm just so thankful, you guys. There was a few other parents in the waiting room, and you just can't help but sit there and wonder what they're going through or what their baby's going through. I just remember saying so many prayers while sitting there. And I couldn't do anything like scroll Facebook and TikTok, and all that stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I felt so numb and so comfortable and so at peace at the same time, and so nervous at the same time. Again, just knowing who all was back in that room with him, I could literally just like see a visual. Like I was just shown this visual of the room and how bright it was, and just what was going on and who was watching and who was helping. And it just put my mind at peace. 10:30, 11, somewhere in between there is when he got out of his procedure and into the recovery space. And that's when we got our text message letting us know that he was out, that the nurse would come and get us to take us back to his recovery room area. When we got back there, the nurse had said he's feeling a little sleepy now, but as they were wheeling him in, he was already asking where we were and talking up a storm. And as soon as he saw us, you know, he acted very happy, and then he just kind of like, you could tell his body just started to relax again, and he wanted to go to sleep from the sedation. I feel like God gave me a little bit of peace after that procedure and allowed me to be the one to help push his bed back to our room. Such a heartfelt moment, you know, like when you just get to be in control of something, and that was me pushing that bed down the hallway back to our room. So that was just such a warm and fuzzy moment for me as a mom. I talked with the neurologist about details on the procedure and how things went, and his pressure actually came back normal, in the normal range, but that does not mean, especially with something such as a degenerative disease, like if he does have pressure in the brain and there's also atrophy happening, it'll still show that the pressure is normal because they're going together. So if he does still have high pressure going on, it's not actually going to show that. So it's just something to take into consideration on if he still shows signs of pressure issues from here on out. They did take a little bit of spinal fluid for testing, and it was very interesting to hear that sometimes when they take spinal fluid, especially from elderly with Alzheimer's specifically, or with dementia, it kind of helps relieve some symptoms. So it causes blockage basically. So when you remove that blockage, it helps bring you back to life a little bit, say. So prime example of that same afternoon, we got him up and moving a little bit, and he was walking back to his normal baseline self. He was barely holding Dad Randy's hand in the hallway. Like, he was not shuffling his feet. At one point, and I even have a video clip that I'll put here, he let go of Randy's hand and wanted to practically run down the hallway. This was so amazing to us. He had not done this for a little while. As far as his speaking goes, there are certain sentences that he says that he has never been able to put together before. And I'm talking like articulated words. I can't even explain it. It's just very much more clear, and it's not all around, but certain things he says is so much more clear Before all this, and this is truly a miracle, is something that we've noticed. When he would dream at night on the camera and stuff, he would, talk in his sleep every now and then, and he would just mumble things. He would be like, blah, 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 when he's dreaming. When we came home, his first night home, he was dreaming out loud, and we could tell what he was dreaming about. He told us exactly what he was saying in his dreams. And it was so much fun to hear him and what he was dreaming about. And he would say stuff like, books, I need more books, 2 more books, please. Like, for it to be that clear and just know exactly what he was dreaming about, it was just so special. We had gone to the library and stuff while we were there at the hospital, and so I'm just assuming he was dreaming about more books from the library. Another thing he said was, my iPad please, where's Ren? And just him wanting his iPad back, and where is Sister Ren? Like those things he's never been able to tell us in his sleep before. So I feel like I'm dragging this on, but it was just so much of a miracle to hear him say actual words. So we've been home for a little bit. He has just started to get back to his normal self as far as just laughing and wanting to do things. Like, he didn't want his iPad. He did not want to do his DVD player. He did not want to play with toys. He was not eating right at all for the longest time. I did take him back to the pediatrician once we got home after a few days to do some blood work and extra tests and just make sure that we are not like in the sickly stage of anything that showed on blood work, because I just wanted to catch it before it got too bad. Do I think this was all pain and pressure related? No. I think that he did have a little bit of a bug. I think that it did last much longer in his body than any normal child, which we would already know with a diagnosis like this. He did act and show signs of the same kind of sickness as he did when we were in Peoria for a week stay in the hospital, and things were just different this time around. He didn't run a fever at all this entire time. So that to me is another sign of like sickness, whereas this was a little bit harder to tiptoe around, Did removing the fluid help him? Yes, I think it did. Again, I just don't think that the pain was the absolute number one cause of everything. He is back to his baseline of certain things, I would say, like laughing more. He is still tired often. He is, when we came back home and before this, he was napping 4 times a day. That is way too much. That is not normal. We do take a nap every day. I know when you're sick, you want to sleep more often, but truly with the little bug that he had, as well as his disease, Randy and I can look at him and say that he's maybe getting over the sickness, as well as we do think he's progressing a little bit. Owen is still Owen. He's always going to be Owen. And unless you're with him every day, you're not going to notice these things, But the way we get through our everyday tasks and what needs to be done over this last chunk of time before and after the procedure, we can just tell we're in a different phase now. So I know this was a very lengthy video. I was trying to remember things. My emotions got caught in as well. And again, I just want it to be real. I want to have updates like this with you more often. I kind of pushed this one back a little bit because we were waiting for blood work to come back and stuff since we've been home. And I just kind of wanted some final answers before I posted and just did something like big like this with you guys. It took much longer to go through his system, and we just have to know that in the future, like this is just how he's going to be if he gets sick. And we do have to take certain precautions as far as progression goes. Like, we just aren't able to do certain things as a family that we used to be able to do. We need to plan out where we're going, who's going to be with us to help, how long he's going to be happy in a situation before we need to put him in a stroller to relax a bit. And even that is not going to stop him from just yelling that he wants to go home, or he's tired, or he wants to go to bed, or he doesn't want to do this, or, you know, there's just certain things that we just can't do. So anyways, thank you for this update. Thank you for this time. Thank you for sitting here listening with me. I do feel like this was all over the place, but I feel like it was needed, and even me just talking it out to you has helped my heart so much. So thank you for being here with us. Again, you can follow his page on Facebook and our Instagram for more real time and stories and stuff like that on what he's doing. But I have a whole list of things that I want to start doing vlog-wise with you and spread awareness, specifically just for like the Alzheimer's end of it. He can still do certain things that other Sanfilippo children unfortunately cannot do at this age. And so I just want to give a little bit of light and help spread awareness in how we can through our story. So thank you for all of your prayers. Thank you for all of your purchases from our shop to help support Owen. And just thank you for being with us always, and specifically during times like these when we need you the most. So we'll see you soon, and I hope that you can find the purpose through your pain and your journey. Please remember to take one day at a time, sometimes even just one moment at a time, to help get you through, and that's all you need. We'll see you soon, guys. Bye.